So a lot of you are probably wondering why the fuck are you looking at a picture of Sam B from Dead Island as you're confused as the fact of why the intro didn't even have any music. Well, my dear friends, let me tell you. Welcome to SHAREfactory, I mean Gay Factory, an editing software that I must use because I don't have a PC on me and all that fun shit, and I have to use it straight from the PlayStation 4. And oh man, they came out with an update that fucking deleted all of my projects, deleted all of my music that I had downloaded on here, and replaced all of them with this shit.
That's so gone.
So, I have to kind of redo a couple videos, and this particular Devil May Cry retrospective that I was working on got affected, and there's a lot of stuff that was got deleted, and a lot of stuff that was going to be edited on more, but I can't work on anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you my first attempt at something like this, and because of this whole SHAREfactory debacle, it has kind of put me back from this project. I just want to let you all know this is my first time ever really making a video like this. I really hope you guys enjoy it, but I'm really sorry for some audio stuff. And thank you, SHAREfactory. Thank you. You fucking piece of shit.
Gaming is very important to me, not just for endless hours of entertainment, but as an art form. Lore, level design, concept art, game mechanics, OSTs, you name it. Gaming is art, and that's why I love it so. I was about maybe 3 years old when I first held a controller, playing Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Oddworld, Sonic Adventure 2, Mario Sunshine, Resident Evil, and none other than Devil May Cry. It took me quite a while to really kind of get the grasp of the series as a kid. I was really bad at it, and I don't necessarily remember when I actually picked the game up. But let me tell you, definitely paid off after now it is my favorite series of all time. I watched my brother play it, my family play it, and all that, and I remember I started playing it around the time I picked up another game called Shadow Man 2 as well, which that's actually a game that I actually really love as well, but I never really got that into it because it was very confusing and very difficult and very hard, you know, all that fun stuff, you know. Devil May Cry 1 was definitely a game as a kid that I kept going back to, and it was a game I was not supposed to be playing at that young age, but man, my parents knew that I loved it a lot, let me tell you. To the point where on one Christmas Eve when I was about maybe 7 years old, I was gifted with one of the best Christmas presents of all time, a copy of Devil May Cry 2 and 3, respectively. And boy, oh boy, was that a treat. I love Devil May Cry. If you personally know me, you probably already know that by heart and soul. Devil May Cry 1 is undoubtedly my favorite video game of all time, and that game encapsulates the reasons why gaming is very important to me. To the gothic design of the castle, to the hardcore action gameplay, and the fantastic soundtrack. But there's one other thing. My man crush himself. The mercenary in the red coat. Dante. For me, DMC1 is my go-to game whenever I just don't have anything else to play. And that goes for the other games too, but DMC1 has the deepest place in my heart. And today, I'm going to be covering each installment of the Devil May Cry series. And yes, I do plan on covering that goofy reboot too, because I don't want anybody to forget about that, even though we really want to, but hey, you know, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm sorry, alright? But all this is in preparation for the brand new and upcoming Devil May Cry 5. So sit back, relax, and I hope you guys enjoy my retrospective of my favorite video game of all time, Devil May Cry 1.
Let's rock, baby.
Before I go into DMC1 though, let me first start talking about the beginning. Capcom were in the development of the fourth installment of the Resident Evil series, Resident Evil 4, that went through multiple versions over the span to 5 to 6 years. The very first version of Resident Evil 4 was scrapped, but not entirely. This version of Resident Evil 4 was deemed too action-y, and felt nothing like Resident Evil whatsoever. However, Capcom liked what they had there, and decided to take the first version of Resident Evil 4 and ultimately turn it into its own game, Devil May Cry. And my god, what a fantastic decision this was. Devil May Cry 1 was directed by Hideki Kamiya, who also directed Resident Evil 2 back in 1998. But unfortunately, Hideki Kamiya was ultimately shoveled away from his own creation, who went on to make the successor to Devil May Cry known as Bayonetta. The man who takes the torch for director for Devil May Cry ended up being Hideki Itsuno, who ended up making Devil May Cry 2, 3, 4, and the upcoming 5 as well.
Two millenniums ago, there was a war between the human world and the other, the underworld. But somebody from the underworld woke up to justice and stood up against this legion alone. His name was Sparta. Later, he quietly reigned the human world and continued to preserve harmony until his death. He became a legend, the legendary Dark Knight, Sparta.
Devil May Cry 1 is about our slick bounty hunter Dante, who it's revealed that he is the son to an entity known as the legendary Dark Knight, Sparta, a demon who turned on his own kind 2,000 years ago for the sake of humanity. The game opens with a recap of Sparta's legacy as the Dark Knight, and then pans to a scary-looking weird demon blood moon thing that some chick just births from. Landing near in front of Dante's shop, Devil May Cry. We then see our beloved little hero Dante sitting in his chair taking calls and refusing them because he closes at 9 p.m. Then scary moon chick just fucking busts the poor guy's door down with a motorcycle.
Whoa, slow down, babe.
This lady knows of Dante's past, but then tries to beat the ever-living shit out of the poor guy.
In that case, you should be used to this sort of thing.
Are you really the son of the legendary Dark Knight Sparta? Didn't your daddy teach you how to use a sword?
However, Dante has some tricks up his sleeves, showing this lady that you don't fuck with the boy Dante. The lady then introduces herself as Trish, a woman that looks exactly like Dante's mother, Ava, and that it was all a test, and that she needs his help to defeat the Demon King.
Mundus, who has just been resurrected and is about to open the gate to the underworld on a little place called Malay Island. Dante travels through a giant gothic castle fighting puppets and spooky ghosts with hedge clippers. But this isn't the only monsters he's going to be encountering. Enter the spawn of Mundus. These motherfuckers will continuously try to attack you throughout your campaign. These include a giant molten pile of arachnophobia, a weeaboo who isn't afraid to show you his sword collection, a giant fucking chicken, and to top it all off, hentai! Dante starts out with his sword, Force Edge, which is his father's very own blade, and dual pistols, Ebony and Ivory. Handcrafted guns that, well, fucking shoot infinitely, and as fast as bitchin' machine guns. These aren't the only weapons you'll be getting, though. A shotgun that just needs to be cocked to reload, a grenade launcher, a lightning sword, and a pair of flaming gauntlets. Dante will have to utilize his arsenal to punch, kick, slash, and shoot all the demons in a blaze of stylish glory. All while totally looking rad and making fun of his opponents as well.
Are you the human, the son of Sparta who challenges the darkness, Mundus?
Block off, Featherface, or you can stick around and find out the hard way.
Oh, you cheeky boy, I see what you did there. While you go throughout the game, a dark looming presence is always around. Mundus. In the very first room, a statue of him can be seen looking all throughout the main hall, and as you progress, he makes his presence known by appearing as 3 giant glowing red eyes. Mundus, at his very core, is just pure evil. He not only toys with Dante, but his own demons too to ensure his dominance in what he stands for.
Master Mundus.
All in all, in my opinion, Mundus is actually a fantastic villain. He is introduced and revealed very well in the final act of the game. Like I said, his presence is throughout the game, as he sits and watches you, waiting to one-off you himself, as he knows that all of his minions will fail to kill you. And boy, is the final battle of Mundus just one of the most insane and badass moments I've ever experienced in a video game, ever. All in the end, though, Dante ones up Mundus in this final fight, defeating him with Dante saying his most iconic line ever, "Jackpot." Then you escape in a plane in the end. Here be the most important part about Devil May Cry. Now, I might be repeating myself here and there, but hey, that's all because explaining is fun. Devil May Cry is about killing demons with big swords, guns, and cocky attitudes. Enter the style system. When Dante beats down on demons, you'll be filling up a style meter that basically tells you, the player, how well you're doing in combat. This meter goes from dull, cool, bravo, absolute, and the very best, stylish. To fill this meter, continually mashing enemies to complete oblivion will rank you up quickly. Pulling a trillion stabs move, then following up with a high time, then whipping out Ebony and Ivory and blasting the enemy in midair for a bit, and then finishing the combo off with a Helmbreaker is one of the many combos that will rank your meter up. The higher your rank is, the more red orbs that will pour from your enemies once you kill them. This system appears in all the Devil May Cry games, and are, well, radically different from each game in a way. Speaking of red orbs, let's talk about currency and items. Killing enemies, finding secret stashes, breaking environment props, completing missions will grant you the in-game's currency, red orbs. These little constipated heads are used as cash at vendors called divinity statues, where you can buy items and new moves for your weapons. Items include the Vitality Star, a healing item which can only be held once at a time. The Devil Star, an item similar to the Vitality Star, but gives you Devil Trigger instead, which is something we'll be getting into later. The Untouchable, the star that grants Dante invincibility and infinite Devil Trigger for a short amount of time. And the Holy Water, this item allows the player to clear rooms of demons and deal heavy amounts of damage to bosses, kind of like a AoE attack. The Purple Orb, which will increase Dante's maximum Devil Trigger bar by 1 gauge. The Blue Orb, which does pretty much the same as the Purple Orb, but increases your health than your Devil Trigger. Also another mechanic that we'll be getting into later. And last, but not least, the Yellow Orb. Basically, these act as lives if you die, and if you lose all yellow orbs, you get a immediate game over, which will kick you back to the title menu. All these items besides the Purple Orb and Vitality Star can actually be found around the levels throughout the game. But the most important item in the whole game are the Blue Orbs. Not only can you buy these from the Divinity statue, but they are spread all over the game into Blue Orb fragments. All these are hidden. Most of them are hidden in all the levels in the game, while others are rewarded to the player when you can complete secret missions. You need 4 fragments in total to get a full Blue Orb. Happy hunting. Items in Devil May Cry, however, tap into one of the game's most iconic mechanics, and that is the difficulty. Using items in any Devil May Cry game is a sign of failure in the eyes of the game. You can complete the game literally without any items whatsoever. Using items also downgrades your end mission rank, penalizing you for copping out. The game wants the player to be able to beat the game without using any items at all, and if the player can learn the game well, they will not have to use any. Unless you're playing on the ultimate hard difficulty, Dante Must Die. Which leads me into the next part, the game's difficulty. Look, Devil May Cry is a hard game, especially if you're a new player, and the game will not hold back on you at all. The game expects you to learn, and learn well, and to put it bluntly, if you want to play Devil May Cry, you gotta know what you're doing. It ain't no casual game whatsoever, unless you die enough times for the game to switch you to easy mode, and basically if you pick easy mode, you're completely failing. And if you somehow beat the game once on normal, your New Game Plus will bump it right up to hard mode, which will switch enemy placements and give all bosses about a 25% health increase, or at least I think it's 25%. It really feels like it, I gotta say. Hard mode will probably kick your ass, because it allows some demons or bosses to have some new kicks to them. But if you somehow beat hard mode, you'll be switched to the infamous Dante Must Die mode. Have you played Dark Souls? If yes, then this is the mode for you. Demons not only deal a fuck ton more damage, but they at complete random will go into their own version of Devil Trigger. In this mode, they can only be hurt fully if you fight them in Devil Trigger mode, and even in some rooms, you are timed to kill all the enemies in a room. Failing to kill all the demons will result in all enemies triggering Devil Trigger. And, well, they can all pretty much two-shot you. But you think that's bad? There's more! Items will have an insane price increase, where at the base, a Vitality Star is about 500 to 550 red orbs, to 5,500 red orbs on the higher difficulties. And, bosses have like a 100% health boost, so good luck! Now there is a section of this game that can be considered one of the weirdest parts of this game, and that's the underwater sections. Like I mentioned before earlier in the video, this game was once Resident Evil 4, and because of that, the underwater section actually was one of the biggest things that actually made it back into this game. This part can be very, very weird and very strange for some people because it really changes the complete combat of the entire game. You find a gun called the Needle Gun, which is the only weapon that can be used underwater. This gun you can use to kill a couple enemies, but these sections aren't very long. They don't last too long, but, you know, they are never at that point where they're unwelcome. They are just very, very strange, and they come out of nowhere, and for the players of the game, you're going to be kind of finding yourself maybe a little disoriented by how they play, and this is something that's going to be actually going to return a couple times into the series, mainly just Devil May Cry 2. But if you can get behind these controls, you can actually pull off some really, really cool stuff with it. Nothing too stylish. I mean, you can't swing your sword in here and all that. You can only use the underwater gun, the needle gun, but this section can really, you know, like, put off some people. It can really kind of catch you off guard when it comes to that. But if you practice with it, you can actually get kind of good with these and stuff. But luckily, however, that these don't plague the entire game too much, but they do appear in a couple sections of the game that do need to be done. You know, with all the stuff I've been talking about so far, there's one particular asset that I have been kind of glossing over for this entire little retrospective of the first game that I'm doing so far. And that is one of the most important mechanics of the game whatsoever that I thought it would be best if it had its own special category. And that is the Devil Trigger. Enter Devil Trigger. Dante can tap into his demonic power using this ability, and depending on the devil arm that you are currently using, you get specific buffs. There are base buffs and exclusive buffs. Your base buffs, you get a good damage buff, enemies can rarely knock you down or stun you, you can break through enemy defenses easily, your guns shoot very high power shots, and you heal over time. But then, there's the exclusive buffs. For Alistar, the lightning-imbued broadsword can give Dante the ability of increased movement speed and the ability of air raid, an awesome ability that allows Dante to rain down lightning death to everything. And Vortex, an aerial attack that actually gives Dante unlimited invincibility frames and extremely high damage if utilized correctly. And then there's the amazing Ifrit, a pair of gauntlets engulfed in the flames of hell. Devil Trigger for these weapons grants the player even more damage, an insane AoE attack Inferno, and the ever so strong Meteor Blast. Always utilize Devil Trigger. As a personal tip from me, never, ever, ever be scared to use your DT. It is extremely easy to increase that gauge, and the game pretty much promotes using it as much as possible. So use it! A lot! Like, use it. Believe me. Just don't be scared. Just use it. Devil Trigger is your friend. This ain't God of War 3, where it takes forever to increase the gauge and pretty much doesn't help at all. I'm looking at you, God of War 3. Bam! Alright, so up next is the secret missions. Devil May Cry is filled to the brim with secrets. Not only can you find items just out of the ordinary by looking in treasure chests or secret red orb stashes that reward you for trying to jump on, well, really silly things for fun, but there are secret missions that can be found by re-entering rooms after a specific event, or just going back to rooms that only had one event to begin with. For example, after you defeat the very first boss of the game, if you go back to the door that leads to an outside area and then jump down into the ocean, you'll encounter the first secret mission. These missions, however, are extremely easy to miss, and some can only be done in certain missions, like Secret Mission 1, which appears on Mission 3. Continuing on and completing Mission 3 will result in Secret Mission 1 completely being erased. Going back will result in the mission disappearing entirely. Not all secret missions do this, but a good majority do. Secret missions on completion will grant a player the blue orb fragment, and on the game's save menu, you can keep track of how many of them you have completed by looking at the stars on your save file. Now, on the topic of missions, the main game itself is actually divided up into many missions, and these are the game's levels. In essence, you are allowed to explore at will, backtracking to areas you've already explored, but in doing a set amount of events and finding certain key items to unlock doors and solve puzzles, you will complete your objective, in which ends the mission. At the end of every mission, you are ranked on how well you did. The game ranks you pretty much on 3 things: time, orbs collected, and how much health you ended on. Also, dying and the use of items. Depending on your stats, the mission will grade you on how well you did, the worst being a D and the best being an S. Kind of like the regular combos from S, C, B, A, S, pretty much in that order. If I were you, go for those A's and S ranks. You'll be very happy. The higher your grade, the more bonus orbs you are rewarded for completing the mission. For example, if you get a D rank, you are rewarded 50 bonus orbs. But if you get an S rank, you are rewarded a whopping 800 orbs. Progressing further into the game will actually grant more bonus orbs as well. About halfway through, S ranks will end up being worth 1,500 red orbs in total. There are also extra bonuses as well. The boss bonus, which pretty much means that when you whoop a boss's ass, you get the boss bonus. And then there's the special bonus, which, to be honest, I don't know exactly how it works. But from what I've gathered, after the many years I've been playing this game, you need to get the perfect time, orbs, and take no damage at all at any given level. Honestly, I never go for these. They are worth like 2,000 orbs each special bonus, but man, they are just really, really hard to go for. To this day, I rarely get them myself, but I do end up usually getting the occasional special bonus that really makes me happy to know that, hey, I did something cool. Look, bam, you did it! All in all, though, this is my favorite game of all time. This game really, like, changed a lot of the things that I kind of grew up with when it came to, like, gaming and all that. And, you know, like, it's a game that's really, really part of, like, my childhood and all that. And it's really the game that, you know, got me into what I love doing today. And, you know, there's a lot of things about this game that, you know, I appreciate completely. And this series, you know, it's got kind of like a bumpy line of games and all that, from ranging to the second game being, you know, not a good sequel, to the third game being fantastic, and then the fourth game being really good, but there's like a couple issues with it regarding like backtracking and the game being rushed, and then the infamous reboot. I wouldn't call this series troubled, but it's definitely a series that, you know, feels, I want to say, in its own way, experimental in some sorts of ways, just because of the sheer fact that each game just kind of, like, fluctuates in its own kind of quality. And, you know, like, it always gets me thinking about, like, what if the director of the first game, my favorite one, went on to make, actually, like, the other sequels and all that. And I don't know how drastically different the series would have been, but it's hard to say what it could have been, because Hideki Itsuno, he does a fantastic job with this series, and I'm very, very happy that he's done what he has done with the Devil May Cry series as a whole. But in other ways, I really do kind of wonder what it would have been like if Kamiya was still working on this series, you know, or maybe Kamiya and Itsuno both worked on the series. It's, you know, it's very hard to say and all that, but, you know, coming from a person who's been playing this game for years and years and years now, ever since I was like 5, you know, like, would someone, you know, would I recommend this to people? And the answer is yes, I would recommend this game completely. That's kind of why, you know, I made this retrospective, is to recommend it to people and all that, but it is definitely a series that, for a modern audience who's never touched a PS2 game in their life like this before, it's definitely going to be really difficult. A very good example is my good friend Alan, who's never even played the series ever. that doesn't know like anything about it. He recently got the HD collection for 1, 2, and 3 for PS4, and from my honest, perspective, I was actually a little nervous he was gonna like shit on the game because he said, because I thought he was gonna say like like it hasn't aged well, it's bad and all that, and I don't see why people really enjoyed this and stuff. Lots of really dumb fears, but he overall like absolutely fell in love with the game, and I gave him a thorough explanation telling him that the game, it's designed to kick your ass, it's designed to kick your butt, and you need to learn and all that, and he took that really well, and like in essence, like he died a lot, and I was sitting there watching him play it through the entire time, and even though he was having a hard time, his ass was getting kicked, he still in the end told me that even though the game was a chore to play, he said it felt awesome to do and awesome to play, and that really kind of made me happy because I want to recommend this game to many different people, and I want to help people out when it comes to this game, because it's a fantastic, and I want to say it's a very important piece of gaming history, this game, alongside with Capcom's other titles like Resident Evil, because this game was once Resident Evil 4, and because of that, we got this game. And to me, from you, to try these games out. They're, in their own way, something amazing. These games, they have history to them, and, like, yes, the sequel, for instance, may not be as super good, and it might be seen as a bad sequel, but it's still, in its own way, its own kind of history with the whole series, and honestly, it's amazing for me to see how far we've come with the Devil May Cry series, honestly. It's incredible. And, I've already pre-ordered my copy of Devil May Cry, 5 and all that, and I'm excited. I cannot wait for this fucking game. And, from me to you, to the people who watch this, try it. Try this series out. And, in fact, like, you don't even have to start with the first game, second, third, fourth. You don't even have to start with those games, because like each game is its own story, and you can play. Your first one can be 5, and but I made this video for the purpose of trying to help people out understand the series a little better, and I hope I was able to pull that off. So, from me to you, I really hope you enjoyed Devil May Cry 1, and I do plan on doing more of these for 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and the reboot, but I might not be able to do it until, like, after 5 comes out and all that, but I just want to say, hey, this was awesome to do, and I hope you really enjoyed this series as much as I do, and I hope you guys get really good at it, and, well, that's all I gotta say. Alright, well, it seems that some of you have probably made it to the end of the video here, which is really amazing, because I've been working on this video since November! It took me a long time to really kind of work on this video, writing a script for it and all that fun stuff. This project has been in development since, like, September, and, lots of really crazy shit, happened in the past couple months and all that kind of stuff, so I wasn't able to really kind of work on this. I had a little bit of a breakdown on YouTube, not wanting to do it anymore and all that, and then I decided to myself, I gotta, come back and all that, because I got people that I really care about when it comes to YouTube and stuff. Looking at this, video, this is the first time I ever actually really tried to delve into something like this, and, I'm sitting here and, editing it as much as possible and all that, and I am a little worried to see how, it comes out when I fully upload it and all that, but, I think this particular retrospective that I did was something that I've been really, wanting to do and work on for a long time, and, Devil May Cry 5 is, one of the biggest, inspirations to kind of, get into this kind of game because of the fact that this is my favorite game series of all time, and I had a little bit of a SHAREfactory issue that happened that kind of fucked up my video a little bit, which was fantastic. So you probably notice, if you got into this far, you probably notice that the beginning part where I'm speaking is really not pop filter friendly. is really loud and you can almost not understand me. I really do apologize for that. That was because SHAREfactory. So thank you so much for ruining that part, because I was actually going to be re-editing those parts, but because I had to salvage what I could, it was either delete the entire project or have what I had and just go from there. And that's I think I should have picked started like from the beginning, but I decided that I would rather just stick with what I have for now and just go from there. And I think that if people can suffer through a little bit of that, I really do apologize. Hopefully that won't happen again. But I took a long time trying to kind of get that section done and all that fun stuff, and like compiling all this editing and all that. I've never really edited a video like this before, and it's honestly amazing to see how much I can do, and it took me a long time. And because this project has been worked on for such a long time now, like I don't think I will be able to get to DMC 2, 3, 4, and the reboot in time for the fifth game to come out. But I think what I'm going to do is, like, I'm gonna keep doing these even when the fifth game comes out. In fact, I might do it. What I might do is like I want to start working on the second game to do the retrospective for, and that I would like to actually do a video on like RE2, a couple other games that I really like, and kind of do them in a different way. But if DMC2 becomes the second part of this video, I might do DMC5 next, because at that point DMC5 would probably be already out, because from this video we have a month to go, and I'm so goddamn excited for it. And you bet your ass I'm going to be doing a retrospective on that as well, and doing a playthrough and all that fun stuff, But I think I am proud of what I was able to accomplish today, and I'm very proud to be able to accomplish this video and finally get it done. I am looking for feedback and all that, There are some things that I would like to work on, And I hope that it wasn't too hard to watch this all the way through. But for the people who did, hey, I just want to say thank you so much. I worked really, really hard on this video, and I put a lot of love and care into it. At least I tried my best to. And because of the whole SHAREfactory thing, it really fucked me up, and it really made me have a harder time to kind of work on this, and it pushed me back further from this project. But I mustered up finally and decided to kind of get through this and stuff. And I tried my best with it, and I think this is a good first start at something like this. And yeah, so I just want to say to everybody who watched this, I just want to say thank you so much for wanting to see this, because I've had so many people tell me they're really waiting for this retrospective to come out, and I've done a lot of Devil May Cry related stuff, and it would blow up quite well. Nothing crazy levels, but I made like a video about Devil May Cry 1 being really buggy in the HD collection, and that it started out really small, and next thing you know, it just blew the fuck up out of nowhere, and I don't remember it doing that, but but anyway, I just want to say, like I said, thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, I'm looking for feedback. If you want to send me feedback, hey, that's awesome, and yeah, so anyway, just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Goodbye.